Welcome to the Hardheaded podcast, where we're going to be taking a practical and realistic approach over the next few episodes on the 23 traits that it takes to be a better father, better dads to our kids. Join us as we embark on this journey.
Welcome back to Hardheaded Podcast, episode 188. I am Chet Sears, your host. Along with me, as always, Matt Amos and Troy Trussell.
Here.
We are continuing
Present.
our journey through the 23 tips or 23 characteristics of a good father.
Yeah.
From
for all you deadbeats out there.
Yeah.
From newmiddleclassdad.com.
And today we're covering 3 of those traits, 13, 14, and 15. 13 is loving your kids doesn't mean you have to love everything they do. 14, set consequences for poor choices. And 15, don't make others suffer for the sake of a, quote, teachable moment. Before we get started, though, guys, I think I need to share something with you. A bit of the confession side of things.
I think I know what it is, and we've seen it coming for a long time.
I'm concerned.
Nola's Pizza.
Oh, whoa.
I have abandoned the boycott and have been purchasing
Oh my gosh.
Nola's Pizza for a couple months now. Just so you know.
Wow.
Gotta get it out off my chest. I can't hide it from you any longer.
Man, for all you listening out there, this is huge. You don't know how huge this actually is.
Wait a minute, because you actually came in on a Live Local post earlier this week and complained about the prices.
No, it was more than this week.
That was a couple weeks ago.
And let me tell you, I will not buy anything but one thing off of their menu. And you have to call it in. You can't order it online. You can't order it in the store. They have some kind of like family pack deal. And you get 2 large one-topping pizzas. Like they're the big ones. The big, not the 14-inch, the bigger ones.
Right.
An order of cheesy breadsticks, which is like a 14-inch pizza, plus a drink. Guess.
$24.99.
Oh, no, $50.
Yeah, 34. That's a good deal. That's a good deal.
Pretty good deal.
Yeah. So
$24.99 would be better.
I've actually been doing this, and we've recorded since then, and I just hadn't got around telling you guys yet.
You feel really bad.
Well, I mean,
it took you this long.
I can't live a lie anymore.
Well, it's not the lie that I thought was coming out, but we'll take it.
All right. So, loving your kids doesn't mean you have to love everything they do.
Right.
How do you apply that?
Well, they do bad things. You don't have to love those things, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But you also don't have to love ballet if your daughter's a dancer.
So how do you support her if she's in ballet, if you don't love ballet?
I pay for it, for one.
I love that.
That is support.
Yeah.
And I go to all of her, what do you call it? Concerts, recitals, or
dances,
competition. She doing dance competition. She's doing recitals.
Are you like a dance mom? Dance dads?
I'm a dance dad, I guess.
There you go.
We're dance parents because we always go to everything that she has, So yeah, just support her in every way. Another way I support her is when she's dancing around the living room and wants to show me a move and ask me, like, do you know the name of this? Because they have to learn all the names and everything. I'm like, yeah, I make sure to pay attention.
Right. So you're supporting her. You're just not going to get into ballet.
No, I'm not going to start like watching ballet on YouTube and stuff. No.
Unlike Matt with his desire to choreograph ice skating performances now.
Right.
But see, I think we're mixing 2 things here. Which if we go back to number 4, it was take an active interest in their interests. So what you're talking about would be number 4. Like, you're not like me. I don't know all of the figure skaters that she can name. Right. But when she goes to practice, hey, how was practice? I show an interest in the activity, even though I don't, know that much about it, although I am trying to learn more. But I think what number 13 is talking about is it's kind of like the discussions that we've had before. You know, you love your kid, but you may not love everything they do. So, you know,
if they're a jerk,
yeah, I mean,
don't let them keep being a jerk.
You know, my kids screw up, you know, and you correct the behavior, but it doesn't mean you love your kids any less. And then, I think, again, that gets really confused in this culture. It's not confusing to us, but I think a lot of people get confused. It's like, well, if you don't like this, then this is who I am. And if you don't like this, then you don't love me. And I think that it's an easy trap to fall into, but you got to remind, or we have to remind our kids that that's not the case. That activity or whatever it may be is not who they are. You know, we love them. We may not love everything that they do.
So this would be along the lines of, you know, I know I love you, son, but you better not talk to your mom that way ever again.
Same, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this one's kind of going for.
Yeah, one of the statements there in the article, the description of a good father has to include the strength to say no, correct inappropriate behavior, and ensure their safety and well-being. Yeah, you're right on, man.
And I have to correct my kids every now and again, or they'll want, you know, an app on their phone or something like that. I'm like, no.
Oh, that happens on the daily.
You know, you're not getting that. And then I'm pretty sure that it's further on down the list here, but or did we already cover that, the why?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of that, well, why can't I have that app?
Yeah.
So, you know, my friends have that app. Why can't I have it? I'm like, because I care about you. Like, I don't want you, you know, I was like, trust me, I've done the research. I've looked at that. And there's a ton of backdoor ways that, you know, people can take advantage of you on those sites. And so I don't want that to happen to you. And so that's kind of and it's tough sometimes, you know, because you're just like, they just keep asking. And the easy would be fine, you know, but not giving in sometimes is the best thing.
Okay. Number 14, set consequences for poor choices.
Yeah.
One of the ways that we've handled that, especially in the teenage years, we have expectations that, you know, cars are clean, gassed up, that kind of stuff, especially if you have a job. And so it's like, hey, can I go do such and such? Is your room clean? No, well, you're not going to do such and such. Or no, they cannot come over. You know, that's sorry. I'm not going to be on you every day reminding you to do stuff. I'm just going to set the expectation. And then if there's something that you want to come, those expectations in other areas of your life haven't been met, sorry, that's the consequences.
Yeah. We're doing that right now. It's summer. So they got to do their chores before they can go outside and play, before they can have their Switch time, their Nintendo Switch time, video games. We have recently outlawed YouTube at our house unless they are watching with an adult.
Yeah.
Because they've just abused that so many times.
Like just going and watching whatever they want?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're supposed to only watch the things that we have allowed them to subscribe
like channels.
to. Channels that we've allowed them to subscribe to. And, yeah, they break that all the time. So.
Yeah. Grass is always greener on that other channel that you don't even know about yet.
Yeah. So, and then some other consequences that we have, if it's something severe, we make them like really think about it. Depending on what it is, but if they wrong somebody else, we usually make them go to their room. They write a full page letter out to that person.
Single line, double space, like.
Well, we just give them a blank sheet of paper.
Okay.
Like just a 8.5 by 11.
I would draw pictures on that and get done with it.
Oh, they know what they're supposed to do. They know what they're supposed to do. But they write a letter apologizing, telling them why they're sorry they did it and why they did it and they shouldn't have done it, that kind of thing. And then they have to go read it to the person.
Yeah.
And that is, the reading it to the person is the part that kills them the most.
Right.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. That's the humility part, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So and that's really worked. I got some of these things from Andy Stanley, one of his videos that he did with his wife on bringing up kids or whatever. Mm-hmm. And another one that he did that I've tried to implement a few times with our kids, but it doesn't really work unless I'm doing it wrong. But like if they say they leave,
that's what it is.
Probably. But like if they leave like you're supposed to bring all your dishes to the sink when you're done, rinse them out, put them away, or put them in the dishwasher.
Yeah.
And so like somebody leaves a bowl out, call them back in. You say, "Hey, will you ask me to put this bowl away for you?" And then they ask, and they have to ask nicely, and then you do it in front of them and say, "Thank you, I appreciate that." And the thing is, what it's teaching them is, you left this here because you wanted me to put it away because you didn't want to put it away yourself. So it's kind of like a reverse.
Yeah. Is it working?
It's worked a few times, but
yeah,
I don't know. That one's really good in theory.
That's a different way.
And he swore by it with his kids, but
yeah,
I'm still trying it with mine. So maybe it takes a lot longer.
Like my head immediately goes to just take those dishes and throw them on their bed. Like now you're gonna have to move them if you want to go to sleep tonight.
Oh, you move them even further. Yeah.
And
my kids asleep on the floor.
And then or how it was around my house, just that the thup, 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 thup of the belt coming out of the belt loops. You know,
yeah.
Like, whoa, okay.
All I had to do was hear that ching of the first little unbuckle, and I was out in my room.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Depends on your background, I guess.
Yeah.
Or how hard it was.
But see, right there in bold letters, it says consequences don't need to be scary. You know, I mean, you guys were terrified. Troy was running.
I was in my room under my bed.
And it says, to be clear, he's not suggesting that you spank kids, threaten kids, or scare them, etc. But they just need to be clear, and they need a temporary loss of a privilege that the child places value on. So like for me, my daughter hates me using her as an example, but it's the perfect example.
Just don't say which daughter, and they don't know.
What's the daughter of Richter Carr? So, because that's the example. Because when we went to eventually get her a new car, which was just maybe a couple of weeks ago or something. You know, we were sitting there and they were talking about the extended warranty and all this kind of stuff, and I was like, well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen to her. So yeah, let's go ahead and do the extended warranty. And she leans over, "See, Mom, I told you he was going to use me as an example." And I was like, but have you learned anything?
Right.
I mean, you know, the first one was your fault. And then we let you borrow Mom's vehicle, and then the wheel just came off, which wasn't your fault.
Right.
You know, but it's all a result of the first one. I said, so now you're in a carless situation for your senior year into your the summer before your freshman year of college. You don't have a car.
Right.
And she was struggling because she really, really wanted a car, and she was bugging me. And I was like, I'll get around to it. I'm trying to find one.
Right. And that's a consequence right there.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what I mean. Like, you're going to have to wait. And, you know, she was very, very patient for a long time. And then to the point she wasn't patient anymore, you know, but it's still, hey, this is consequence. I mean, it's not like I'm made of cash.
Right.
Where I can just go buy you a car every time you wreck one. I go, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So, you know.
All right. Here's one, number 15. Don't make others suffer for the sake of, quote, a teachable moment. This one was written, probably after he went to Disney World and got to see a kid melt down and a parent lose it. I don't know how many dozen. You see that a dozen times a day at Disney World? It's ridiculous. Like, now's not the time to make everybody else that came here to have some fun watch you not be a good parent to a kid that's not being a good kid. Like, don't make me suffer through that. You almost had to suffer through that more than you had to suffer through the people in the little rental carts and their horns. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of like kids on a plane too. You know, screaming kid on the plane. Hey, why don't you take that kid to the bathroom, square him away, and then let's bring him back out.
Yeah.
And that was always the funny thing about the Marine Corps, which the Marine Corps never did. They always wanted you to, or the professional way. I guess not the Marine Corps' anti-Marine Corps way of doing things is praise in public, punish in private.
Right.
The Marine Corps is the exact
Opposite
of that. Like, hey man, nice job, and then you screwed up. They want everybody to know you screwed up. They don't want you to know you did a good job. So don't be like that with your kids. But it's kind of the same thing, right? You take them out of that situation. Like, hey, what are you thinking? Like, stop. We're not gonna do this. I mean, if you continue to do this, there's escalating things that are going to take place. So here's my expectation. So that one's pretty cut and dry. Really.
It is, but then it gets when they're younger and they figure out that they can misbehave in front of a whole bunch of people because you're not going to go postal on them. It puts you in a tough situation, I imagine.
Would it?
Could. Take them outside.
Yeah.
Tell them to pick a switch.
Yep. Take them to the bathroom, beat the tar out of them. Okay, we're good.
Good. We're not advocating
beating your child. No.
But not sparing the rod.
Mike, a rod? Come on. What are we doing?
Biblical.
Go down to Sporting Goods and get me a fishing rod, a real flexible one.
Do you know what my dad used to whip me with?
A belt? Because you said when the buckle. What else?
I don't think he ever got me with that belt. I think all he had to do was unbuckle it, and I was acting right.
So you were saying that as like, okay, I'm straightening it up. When I talked about my dad in the belt loops, was literal, and we had a woodshed, and that's where we would go. Like, I'm not joking about any of that.
And that's old school.
It is. We are going back to the woodshed, and I am going to whip you with this belt. But the belt came off.
Walked into it.
Before, no. It's like belt comes off, that announces this is about to happen.
That meet me in the woodshed.
And then it's like, son, let's go. And it was it was not fun.
Mine was never a belt. It was a paddle. We actually had a paddle that we had somehow picked up on a family vacation because it said Silver Dollar City on the paddle. So, every time you're acting up, that old paddle would come out because it used to hang on the wall right by the telephone.
Yeah.
Back when you had corded telephones.
Yeah.
And if acting up, take that thing and set that on the table. And then you got to the age where it's like, you're not going to do anything to me with that. Like, it doesn't even register.
What age was that for you?
Anymore. I can't remember, maybe 10.
Oh, shoot. So, no, most of the time, I was disrespecting my mom. So my dad would come home from work. She would just be like, all right, Then my dad would come home, and she'd meet him in the living room and say, let me tell you what your son did. And then he would just like set his stuff down and whop, 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 like, let's go, and 15 years old, and he is about to whoop. He was I don't even know what I did, but he was so mad at me. And he's like, we're going. And I'm like, what? Like, really? And I could see in his eyes, I'm about to get tore up. I don't even remember what it was for. And I said, on the way back, like we're walking back there, and I'm like, the only reason you're doing this is because you like hitting me. And then he turned to me, I'll never forget this, and he handed me the belt, held it out. And he's like, son, if you want to know what it feels like to hit somebody you love, why don't you hit me with this right now? And then that spun me. I was like, my mind was spinning. I'm freaking out. And then he's like, do it. Hit me, boy.
You ain't got it.
And I lost it. I melted like butter on a hot day. I was like, and that was so he didn't have to whoop me. But that was it. Like, I was like, okay, I get that you're coming from a place of love. You don't enjoy doing this, and I'm going to stop behaving in a way that would yield this from you. So,
man.
And that was not in public, don't make others suffer. Nobody else had to suffer for that. That was just me and him.
Nobody could hear Chet screams from the woodshed just
miles away.
Yeah,
my dad used to save they used to have these little tiny plastic things they would tie balloons on at Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The Mylar balloons.
Yeah.
Oh, they did it with
they
regular
would tie
balloons,
the balloons
too. Yeah,
onto those. And my
It
dad
had like a little a thing on the end where you could loop the end of the balloon through to keep it. You didn't have to tie a knot, but then those would come off.
Right. And so at the end of every birthday party, my dad would collect them all.
I love it.
And he had a bundle of them.
I love it.
That big around. And he kept it underneath the cabinet where we kept the phone. Like that cabinet, it was like the craft cabinet.
Yeah.
He kept them in there. And he'd get that out, and he did whoop the fire out of us.
What? You talk
with
about
that thing.
preparedness. He's just sitting around at a birthday party at Chuck E. Cheese thinking, I could probably use one of those later.
Yeah.
He had a name on each one of them. Troy. Ashley. Yep. Oh, yeah.
That's hilarious.
How often did your sister get whooped?
Never.
I don't know. I'll have to ask her.
I would say never. I mean, unless she never told me, but I
don't know.
Pretty sure he never whooped her.
The way I recall her stories going is that she was pure as the driven snow, and you were the one that was teaching her all the bad stuff. She wanted to sneak
That's
out of the
crap.
house one night as like a senior in high school and had to go ask her younger brother how do I
get out of here?
How do I defeat the security system?
Well, because
And he's in middle school, like, okay, let me show you.
Well, because when she did it before, she got busted. And I was like, all right, you don't want to get busted? Learn from the best.
This is awesome. All right, so loving your kids doesn't mean you have to love everything they do. Set consequences for poor choices, and don't make others suffer for the sake of a teachable moment. Matt, you got a Bible verse that may apply to any of those?
Maybe. What was it? 29, probably
29:15.
Proverbs. I can never say that correctly. 29:19. 15, sorry. A rod and a reprimand impart wisdom, but a child left undisciplined disgraces its mother.
So the undisciplined would be loving, even when they're disobedient, loving the disobedient behavior, or also not having consequences for poor choices. You don't want to ruin your kid, so you need to impart the rod.
Reprimand, hey, don't do that again. Good to go.
Okay. I'm not endorsing.
It says a rod. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Yep,
And then
I
it
got you.
says a reprimand.
I think if they would have had a Chuck E. Cheese back in the Bible times, it would have probably been, instead of rod, it would have said that balloon stem.
Balloons, take that balloon stem and whip them.
Yeah. Because it's not going to break any bones. It's just going to get your attention.
It'll leave some whelps.
Yep.
Just like the end of the flexible end of a fishing rod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Felt about like
That
that.
would suck.
Yes.
I think that would be worse than the paddle or a
But
belt.
here's the thing. I would never do that at the risk of breaking one of my fishing rods.
Yeah, those little eyelets are hard to replace.
Yeah. The last time I had to put, I was with you. We were fishing out at Dave's Pond or something. There was some, I can't remember. Anyway, I had my rod like on the back porch, and we were going to go out to the lake, and I grabbed it, picked it up right into the ceiling fan.
What's that old boy's name? The old time fisherman used to be Bill Dance.
Oh, yeah.
You ever seen that one? Where he puts his into the ceiling
His
fan?
highlight reel of
Or
bloopers. Yeah.
Closing the truck bed and smashing.
Back in the John boat in without unstrapping it from the trailer, and they sunk it.
Yep.
Like, I mean, it's hilarious. It's a good highlight reel.
Now I come by the rod, so just to clarify a little bit.
For those who haven't turned off and discussed.
Right, they're like, that guy is just violent. Well,
Yeah.
yes, but the other part of that is I grew up, where I got a whooping for basic, more extreme offenses. Like it wasn't like normal
Everyday stuff.
you
Yeah.
screw up. But I grew up in a different household than my other brothers and sisters who got whooped for dang near
Looking incorrectly.
It didn't matter.
Wipe that grin off your mouth.
Now, here's what I will say, that I think that they probably turned out more behaviorally okay than I did. So I'm just saying, they got beat. They turned out all right. So I didn't get beat as much. I didn't turn out as okay. So maybe there's something in there.
All right. Well, there's a little nugget for our listeners.
I probably should have got beat more.
You definitely should have been beat more.
I think too little or too little.
Probably
I was
just about right.
Yeah, I was right in the middle.
Probably just about right.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.